Hello, you beautiful people. It is Tooth here and Mrs. Tooth.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Tooth. We are on our way for Rich Holiday, Poor Holiday. So we are at Gatwick South. We're staying here for one night at the Block Hotel, which we'll show you in a minute. We are going to fly at 7:30 tomorrow morning and we are heading over to Lanzarote, but we're immediately leaving Lanzarote on a ferry to go over to La Graciosa. Right, we are going to catch up with you in a bit when we do our room review, and then we will be on to get some beers. Well, those plans went tits up faster than a granny on a banana skin. Sorry, Mrs. Tooth. Did I make you chuckle? We went to check into the hotel, and the hotel ain't quite ready yet, so we thought, well, what can we do? We're at Gatwick Airport. There's a Wetherspoons. So I've got my first beer of the holiday, a lovely pint of Stowford Press. Mrs. Tooth, for those of you who've been watching for a while, you will probably be able to guess. For everybody else, what have you got, Mrs. Tooth?
A Prosecco.
A Prosecco,
Cheers.
lovely.
And a packet of crisps.
Mrs. Tooth is doing the dirty with a prawn cocktail. So we are going to sit here and have a quiet beer, and then we're going to go over and check in and do your room review for you. Right. So there ain't really much to tell you about this room, folks. I've got to be honest. It was really easy to check in, wasn't it, Mrs. Tooth? It was all done on the app, and you know, like you get your room key and everything on the app. So this cost us £125, but I had a £50 booking.com discount, so it's down to 75. But we could have got it for 50. The reason we paid the extra 25 was to have a window, because otherwise we have stayed in these before and they are really claustrophobic without it. So we got a really nice little coffee machine there as part of that as well, which I don't think you get in the bog standard room. And we got biscuits. We've got biscuits. Booyah. On top of that, the bathroom ain't much to look at. It is a little bit EasyJet hotel kind of vibes about it. You want to have a tom tip before you have a shower. Am I allowed to say that, Mrs. Tooth? Yeah. You want to have a tom tip before you have a shower, otherwise your feet are going to get wet again. It's that close. And God help you if somebody opens the door while you're using the sink, because otherwise you're going to go into the wall, and that'll be that.
I might give that a go.
Good luck. The door will bounce off me, darling. It won't bounce off you. We got a telly there. We ain't going to use it. We've got a couple of cups. There's storage under the bed. There's a USB socket and 2 plug sockets, which is absolutely fine. We got that glorious view out there. It's a shame it's the M23 and not the runway, but Christ, you have to pay an arm and a leg, even in a gaff like this, for the to get the runway view. We got my funnest thing ever. Shall we show them, Mrs. Tooth? It's the zzz. Shall we show them? Yeah. Have a look at this. That is brilliant. That is fantastic. Now, we were actually due to stay in the Sofitel, and I just want to point this out. So Sofitel, we booked a classic Queen room. It was 126 notes. Now, I wouldn't pay 126 notes for an airport hotel, I've got to be honest, that's just us. But at 126, I had 50 quid in my booking.com account to take off of it. So it came down to like 70-ish notes, and I was like, yeah, all right, let's do the Sofitel, because then we can get you guys a lovely little video of the Sofitel and everything. And as it worked out, the Sofitel, we booked the Queen room, and they turned around and sent me an upgrade email and said, you know what, you can have an upgrade, and it's half-price upgrade, and we'll upgrade you from a double to a Queen. And I was like, hang about, I've already booked a Queen. So I wrote to them and said, here, I've got a Queen room already. What have you done? Have you got it wrong, or are you using the same language, just describing it wrong, or what? And they came back to me and said, no, we have received your order for a classic double. Well, I've got an order here that says classic Queen. So we turned around and told them to do one. And we cancelled that and came here instead. So we are going to go now. Giraffe Kitchen. Yep. It is our absolute favourite place to go for a meal at Gatwick. I think it is absolutely out of this world. So we're going to go there. And then we'll probably go for a couple more beers, people.
But where are we going to go?
Where are we going to go, Mrs. Tooth? So we might pop back into the Wetherspoons, but here is a pro tip. Pro tip. Go to the Premier Inn bar in the North Terminal. Get the free shuttle over there. Because at least for our drinks, a pint of cider and a Prosecco, it is cheaper to go in the Premier Inn than it is to go into the Wetherspoons. Everything's cheaper up north. North Terminal, people. Go to the North Terminal. Don't stay in the South. Everything's well expensive down south. So we are going to go up to the Premier Inn bar. And as long as it ain't mental in there, we're going to have a couple of beers there. So you will see us in a minute while we're eating and drinking. So Mrs. Tooth just noticed that it says on the card that was on the bed, but it says on the 5th and 7th floor, just left out of the lift, says you've got a free hot drinks room. So you can see there, you've got your, well, you can see me actually, because that's all you can see in the reflection. Let me see, can I get it? No, I'll just tell you, it's got all the different types of coffee, including hot chocolate, mochaccino, dash of milk, hot water. But yeah, no, it's nice to know you can get free coffees and what have you in here. And we also saw in that card that we get 20% off at Wetherspoons.
I actually saw it.
All right,
I read it.
Mrs. Tooth saw it.
And Giraffe.
And Giraffe, which is where we're going to eat because we always eat there. And there's a few other bits and pieces. And we get free fast track security tomorrow. Do we need free fast track security? I can't even say fast track security. Fast track security. What do we get for free?
Fast track security.
I'm glad Mrs. Tooth's here, people. I'm glad Mrs. Tooth's here.
Adult. Right, come on.
Right, so we are in Giraffe. We're going to get our 20% off from the hotel, which is lovely. I have ordered chicken tinga soft tacos and skin-on fries and a pint of Camden Hells. Mrs. Tooth has ordered
Coke and fish and chips.
a glass of Coke, just in case you're wondering. Yeah, so we will let you see what it looks like when it arrives and we'll tell you the price of it afterwards. Oh my days, oh my days. These things are bloody gorgeous, people. I am sorry for eating the same thing over and over, but I can't get enough of them. And then we've got these little lemon and pepper fries. Do you want to try a chip, Mrs. Tooth?
I'll have that one. Yeah, I got two.
Bloody hell. That bit of fish took one look at Mrs. Tooth and curled up. Look at that. I mean, seriously, people, what the proverbial?
I think it looks nice.
Oh, you got a little bit of charred lemon there as well. That's a bit fancy. Bit of tartar. Some mushy peas in the corner. Look more like a splodge, doesn't it? Right, we are going to eat and we will be back with you in a minute to tell you what it was like and what the price was. Oh, mate, I absolutely smashed the granny out of that. That was fantastic. Mrs. Tooth's fish battered her. Honestly, that chicken tinga tacos are absolutely stunning. How was yours?
Oh, it's lovely. Didn't like the tartar sauce, but everything else was really nice.
Yeah, no, Mrs. Tooth made me dip a chip into the tartar sauce. It was vinegary and it tasted a bit musty and off,
Yeah, it
didn't
was horrible.
But the mushy peas were good, weren't they?
Yeah, it was all good.
And the fish and chips all come up really nice. And because we're staying in the Block Hotel, we also got 20% off of that. 20% off, I mean, that was a 40 quid bill, so it come out like £8 off. You ain't going to sniff at it, are you, folks? So just to take you through it, it was £4.50 for the Coke, 16 quid for the fish and chips, $7.75 for the chicken tinga tacos, £4.50 for chips, my chips, $7.50 for my pint, and then 20% off for the Block discount. And the other thing, they also do 20% off the Block in the Wetherspoons. So it's actually now cheaper to go to the Wetherspoons than it is to go all the way over to the North bloody Terminal and go to the Premier Inn bar. So we are well chuffed about that. We are going to be going over there in a minute and getting ourselves a beer. But I think, fag?
Yeah.
Fag. Right, I'm going into beast mode now, people. I've got to be honest, I am going into beast mode because Mrs. Tooth said to me, let's go for a drink at the Premier Inn anyway. So I was like, yeah, all right. And when we was on the way over, she went, oh, well, let's just go into the Sofitel because that'll be good for the video, won't it? And I was like, yeah, all right, let's do that, let's do that. So we came in and we ordered the same round. So I got a pint of Aspal and a glass of Prosecco, which was costing us £11.18. with a discount, admittedly, but it would have been £14 without.
At Wetherspoons.
At Wetherspoons. And we've come in here and it's £16. The thing is, when she put the bill down, it was £18. And I thought, £18? I'm looking at Mrs. Tooth now. £18 for a bloody Prosecco and a cider, are they having a giraffe? And when I looked at it, don't forget, I've gone up to the bar and ordered, they put a £2 service charge on. So a £2 service charge for me to go up to the bar and get my own drink and bring it back to my own table, £2 they charged me to pour my drink.
So what did you do?
If I went, I told her to take it off. I said, can you take the service charge off, please? So if I went into the supermarket and bought a pint of milk, and the pint of milk was like 80p, and she went to me, that's £1. I go, no, it's 80p. And she says, yeah, but there's a 20p service charge on that. No, there fucking isn't. That's your job. Sorry, Mrs. Tooth's told me I'm not allowed to swear anymore. So no, there isn't. That's your job. You are paid to serve me in that place, and so I pay the price that it says on a ticket. So if I go up to the bar and order a drink and it's £16, you charge me £16. You don't charge me £18 to get me that drink and like literally put it in a glass and turn around and give it to me. You haven't like come across with like a tray and golden goblets and like some lace shite all over your arm. No. Beast mode Tooth, not happy. Mrs. Tooth, what have you got to say about this?
I think it's quite funny.
What, me or the whole fucking situation?
No, I think it's terrible. I don't know how they could get away with it.
No, it's disgraceful. And this, you will notice, people, is after they tried to screw us over on the room as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I am saying, Sofitel,
Do one.
you are not on my Christmas card list. You are a bunch of rip-off merchants.
We certainly won't be staying here ever.
No, we came here last time, we had terrible service, and we thought, that could just be a bad day at the office. We never mentioned it. We've come here this time, £2 to serve me my own bloody drink. After you tried to rip me off on the bloody room, never again.
No.
One thing I will give them, the pint of Aspel's quite nice.
And it's warm in here.
Yeah, Mrs. Tooth says, I don't have to tell people what you say no more, do I?
No.
Tell the camera, Mrs. Tooth, hang on.
It was freezing in Wetherspoons. It was so cold. So, but it is nice and warm in here. So I think we were paying that £2 charge to up there heating. Who knows?
Yeah, but £2 can...
Well, £2 off every customer.
It can sort out an African village with water for a month.
It certainly can.
According to Oxfam. Oops. So, Sofitel, I will say it one more time. 1, 2. Give us a number 3, Mrs. Tooth. Right, so after that cluster of a drink at the Sofitel, yeah, £2 to serve me my own beer. Me and Mrs. Tooth was talking on the way over here, weren't we? We were saying, like we go down our local Miller and Carter, and they give you the option to add a service charge. And we go to, where else did I say?
Giraffe.
Yeah, Giraffe. The Giraffe kitchen here, they give you the option of putting a service charge on. Don't just charge it. And you were saying, like, I went up to the bar, got my own drink, and they tried to charge me £2 for going up to the bar and getting my own drink. You go into your local Esso garage.
Yeah.
And what do?
Ask me if I want to pay a tip. I've put my own petrol in the car.
And you kind of look at it and go, do you know what? Why don't you just pay your staff properly instead of expecting us to pay a premium on top? And if you don't want to do that, why don't you just up the prices and show people what you're really charging rather than just pissing off your staff who ain't going to be loyal to you?
And we do tip. Don't get us wrong, we do tip.
We do.
If they deserve it.
I'm a generous tipper.
Yeah, you are.
Mrs. Tooth gets the tip.
Don't even go there.
Just the tip. But we do. We tip, and we tip well.
When it's deserved.
But actually, I've walked up to the bar, you've turned around, got me beer and turned back to me, and then said, that's £2 just for turning around. That's what you're paid to do. That's what you're paid to do. Don't be... Anyway, we've come over to the Premier Inn because we thought, well, we might as well round this up a little bit and give you a little view of everything that's on offer. So actually the prices have gone up here a bit. It's £14.30 for the Prosecco, and it's a pint of Strongbow rather than Stouffer Press. Com si, com sa, it's pretty much the same old shite. But Mrs. Tooth's bottle is not a glass. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? Of course it's not a glass, it's a bottle.
Well, it's a glass bottle.
However, she has had a glass of Prosecco in most other places. We did try a bottle of Prosecco in Wetherspoons, and when we tried a bottle of Prosecco in Wetherspoons, it was more expensive, but it was the same size, but it was a 125 bottle, 125ml bottle. So you got exactly the same amount. This is a 200ml bottle. So it's 66% bigger. Taste test.
The Wetherspoons one better.
There you go. Wetherspoons one was better, but she got more of it in here. So look, it's horses for courses, right? It's what you like. We're sat here now. We've done the shuttle over. We've done the Sofitel, which turned
never
out
going back to.
No, never going back there. Never, ever, ever. The bad service we had last time we were here.
That's 3 opportunities.
Yeah, through the terrible service we had booking a room there this time, and then through the terrible service we've had tonight, and them trying to charge us for the service. No, Sofitel, giving up on your brand. You are not somebody I want to be involved with. So, while it was a bad experience for us, it's a good experience for you guys, right? So you get to see and find out and hear about our experience, and maybe that might influence yours. Now, don't take our word for it.
No,
go and do it for yourself.
Yeah,
go and do it for yourself. And if you find on the first time that you go, me, Tooth was right, Mrs. Tooth was right, then you don't do it again. But don't think it's a one-off, because now you've seen that we've had it 3 times. If you have it when you go there, that's 4 times that you've got. 4 times. Mrs. Tooth's telling me off.
Right, drink your drink, turn it off now.
Drink me drink, turn it off. All right, we'll probably see you in the morning, people. Laters, potatoes.